San Diego! Are you all excited to talk about Spider-Man with us? No, come on, let's get some louder. Are you excited to talk about Spider-Man with us? There we go. Now, before we begin, I think we all need to sing a song together. Are you guys gonna do it with me, or are you gonna make me do it alone? Please do it with me, or we're not gonna talk to you about any of the books, okay? Are you ready? Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins a web any size, catches thieves just like flies. Look out! Here comes the Spider-Man. All right. Oh, there's plenty more. Maybe we'll do like in between questions while we're waiting for someone. We'll do the other verses. Okay. Let's talk about who we've got up here on this stage. My name is Nick Lowe. I'm the Spider editor. I'm so glad to be here with you guys today. You are our people, and this and New York Comic Con are my two favorite panels of the year, and I'm so glad to be with you guys here. We also have assistant editor Kathleen Wisneski. Woo! The real brains of the Spider office right there. We've got Seanan McGuire, the writer of Ghost Spider and many international best-selling novels. She's amazing. Check them out. We've got Tom Taylor, the writer of Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, as well as a bunch of Star Wars books, some stuff for the Distinguished Competition, and all kinds of other stuff. We've got Mr. Brooklyn himself, Frank Tieri. He's the writer of Absolute Carnage, Lethal Protectors, Absolute Carnage vs. Deadpool, and so many other books throughout the years. Wolverine, Deadpool, so many cool things.
Very cool, yeah.
Very cool. We've got Nick Spencer, the writer of Amazing Spider-Man. Also, you remember him from Secret Empire, Captain America, The Superior Foes of Spider-Man. Anyone familiar with that book? Speaking of what our young friend, what's your name? What Jordan has in his hands to read, and if you can start reading it, feel free, is Amazing Spider-Man 26. We've got Spider-Man on the cover with said superior foes. This kind of kicks off year 2 of Amazing Spider-Man. Nick, can you tell us about Amazing Spider-Man 25, 26, and kind of some big plans you've got on Amazing Spider-Man?
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thank you all for picking up Amazing Spider-Man 25 this month, if you did. What was that, 60 pages?
60 pages.
Yeah, that was a monster. And over 24 and 25, you found out a lot more about the mystery villain that's been kind of haunting the background of Spidey's life all year. And now you know his name. You know his name is Kindred. So you don't have to keep trying to trick me into telling you at conventions. I'm really excited about that. And towards the end of issue 25, you saw the debut of a new all-female supercriminal gang that are going to be featured very heavily in this issue. They're called the Syndicate. They feature Beetle, Lady Octopus, Scorpia, White Rabbit, Trapster, and the new Electro as well. So Spidey's going to have his hands full with them, and they are coming after his new roommate, Fred Myers, a.k.a. Boomerang of Superior Foes fame. So Fred's in a lot of trouble between them, and as you can see here, the Kingpin is also after Fred. So yeah, it's all gonna start to come to a head here.
Now, this is some incredible art from Kev Walker and Laura Martin. They're doing the art for issues 26 through 28. And then you can see what Nick was talking about up there. Amazing work. We've also got, here's some upcoming covers. You can see that Sinister Syndicate all the way on the left. That's for Amazing Spider-Man 27. More Kingpin and Fred with issue 28. And then there's issue 29 cover right there. All these are by Ryan Ottley and Nathan Fairbairn. Ryan came on board with Nick with our Amazing Spider-Man #1. And he's, our foundational artist on this book, and I love these covers that he did here. So cool. And we got some other stuff coming up. Nick, can you tell us about Amazing Spider-Man number 30 and 31?
Yeah, these are our tie-ins to a little thing called Absolute Carnage. It's going to be coming from Donny Cates.
Have you guys heard of Absolute Carnage coming up? You excited?
Yeah, and as you can see, Spidey is fighting Carnage, and it is not going super well. These couple issues are really interesting because it's Spidey. I'm not sure how much we can say, though. Nick, can we say who he's dealing with here, or no?
Well, we can see it certainly involves that person on that second cover.
There we go. Yeah. So we can say that this is a big-time rematch between Spidey and Norman Osborn. First time I've gotten to write one of my favorite villains, so that was pretty exciting. There's also some important kindred developments over these issues, I think we can say.
And what does Carnage have to do here? What does Carnage have to do with Osborn? All that kind of stuff. You're gonna have to read Absolute Carnage to find out the beginnings of those stories. Last we saw them together, they were the Red Goblin, right? And so I don't know what plans Carnage has here. Well, I do know, but I can't tell you that. It's in the stories. And we also have a cover of here with our new addition to the Amazing Spider-Man team, Pat Gleason, with colors by Matt Wilson, who's going to be coloring issues 32 through 35. Nick, can you give us a little tease as to what's going to happen in that arc?
Well, you saw at the very end of my part of The Amazing Spider-Man 25, the return of one of my favorite characters, Spider-Man 2099. Miguel O'Hara crashed back to the present. And this story is gonna get us started down that road. So look for him to pop up soon. And yeah, Pat Gleason absolutely just crushed this issue.
Yep. And both Ryan and Pat are here at the show. They're down in Artist Alley. So seek them out. You can get a signature, maybe get a commission if you want to pay for something like that. They're incredible artists, and we're so glad to have them on the team. Any big Spider-Man 2099 fans out there? You got to check out Amazing Spider-Man then. And I didn't even notice someone snuck in on our panel. We have Editor-in-Chief C.B. Cebulski. Heck yeah. We have a new series spinning out of Amazing Spider-Man, a mini-series called The Amazing Mary Jane. Number 1 comes out in October, is being edited by Kathleen Wisneski here. Kathleen, can you talk to us about what this series is?
Yeah, I am very happy to. This spins out of Amazing Spider-Man, a story that Nick set up. Mary Jane realizes that she deserves to, wants to take a second chance in being a professional actress. And so she gets a chance to go to Hollywood, but the story and the director and the whole situation is more complicated than she ever could have anticipated. So we're going to have more action than anyone has ever put in a regular boring movie, because it's a comic book movie, and Mary Jane just being the character that we all love. I'll say it's sassy. She's gonna be plenty sassy.
And one of the things we loved about how Nick set this whole thing up, and comes from an idea of Nick's, is that Mysterio is involved. Because if you know anything about Mysterio, he used to be a Hollywood special effects guy. And so this all has to do with a Mysterio and kindred thing that Nick laid out for us.
Yeah, if you read Amazing Spider-Man 25, you know that Mary Jane has gotten an offer for a new job that she does not yet know involves Mysterio behind the scenes. So yeah, this story is really integral to what we're doing in Amazing. And so if you're already reading Amazing, I'd really encourage you to pick up this book. It's going to be fantastic. Leah Williams is a phenomenal writer. And, I think it'll really enhance your reading experience of Amazing as well.
Yep. Like Nick mentioned, Leah Williams is writing it. Interior art by Carlos Gomez, and incredible covers by one of the best Spider-Man artists of all time and one of the best Mary Jane artists of all time, Humberto Ramos, with colors by Edgar Delgado, like this one right here. Gorgeous stuff. You got to check it out. It is fantastic. We also have something coming up called The Amazing Spider-Man Full Circle, one of the craziest books that Marvel has ever done. And actually, I'm not even working on it. This is the brainchild of Tom Brevoort, as in the honor of Amazing Spider-Man, or of Marvel's 80th anniversary. CB, can you kick off talking about this, and maybe Nick jump in, because you're writing part of it?
Yeah, the way that... Is this on?
Now it is.
Now it is? Okay. Yeah, the way that Full Circle breaks down is it's really what we call a round-robin comic. I think, each of the 8 writers is writing a chapter, but they are getting the script from the previous writer who's leaving it on a cliffhanger, and they have to pick up in the exact spot where that writer left off, not knowing what is going to be going on. And Nick, you're a part of this. Do you want to talk a little bit about the challenges that comes with not having a plot, not having an idea? You're just getting something thrown at you, and you have to build upon what's come before, correct?
We really sabotaged each other a lot, a lot. It's a ton of fun. The comic is just a blast. It's so many great writers, and just like CB was saying, it was just really fun to kind of leave each episode inside it on a cliffhanger that the next writer had to come in and try to figure their way out of. And I think we're going to share a little bit of like what went on behind the scenes of it, which I'm excited about, because when we kind of got to the final chapter and we do that collaboratively, that really came out great. And I'm really proud of it. It's a fun book. It's like nothing I've ever been a part of. So it was a great experience to do it.
And just so you know how serious we are about it, it's got Nick writing it, Jonathan Hickman, Jerry Duggan, Al Ewing, Chip Zdarsky, Kelly Thompson, Jason Aaron, with artists Chris Pacello, Chris Sprouse, Greg Smallwood, Mike Allred, Rachel Stott, Valerio Schiti, Cameron Stewart, and Mark Bagley, with a cover not only by Rod Rice is there, but all of those artists collaborated on it there too.
We knew this thing was going to be nuts because they drew the order of writers out of a hat, basically. And Hickman got the first chapter. So as soon as they said that, I was like, this thing's going to be
We're in
nuts.
trouble.
And it was.
Awesome. Very much looking forward to that. We also have coming up Ghost Spider #1, just next month, written by Seanan McGuire, art by Takeshi Miyazawa, covers by Jorge Molina. Super excited about this. Seanan, can you tell us about this new series and what your kind of bedrock of it is?
Well, colors are by Ian Herring. We got to keep him too, so it's
Absolutely.
the entire ongoing creative team. At the end of Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider, we got the permission to move back to 616. I'd kind of been confined to 65 for that whole title. So now Gwen, who can't go to school in her own dimension because everyone knows she's a superhero in a world that functionally has none, is going to be a transfer student at ESU in 616. And figuring out how you would do that legally was really entertaining for me. So now I get to play with the 616 Villains Gallery, which is very new. I haven't had access to most of those, and that's exciting. 65 is still in the mix, though. I know a lot of Spider-Gwen fans are concerned about that we're still going to be spending a lot of time in her home dimension and with the Mary Janes and with the villains that she has there. The Man-Wolf is still kind of threatening Manhattan, and her version of the Jackal has just started really standing up and becoming a problem.
Absolutely. And I mean, we all know that Empire State University does have a fantastic interdimensional exchange program.
Mm-hmm. It does.
Yep, they've been very proud about that. Here's some more of those awesome covers by Jorge Molina, the Jackal over there that Seanan was just talking about. This series is just so cool. And so if you loved Spider-Gwen from Into the Spider-Verse, I mean, I think have we all heard of that movie? There's this movie called Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah? You heard of that one? See, he knows. But you should go to your comic shop, make sure you put this on your pull list. And I mean, everyone's got a pull list here, right? You know what I'm talking about? If you don't know, you know that you can go to your local comic shop and basically set up a way, and they'll pull your favorite comics, so you don't have to worry about someone else buying all the other copies out. You put them on reserve, and they'll keep them waiting for you. They'll often give them to you in like a nice little bag, hold them together for you. It's fantastic. If you don't have one, go get one started at your local shop.
Please.
Absolutely. Oh, also coming up, we took the #1 book this June was Black Cat #1. So excited about this new series. Has anyone picked that one up yet? In issues 3 and 4, or 2 and 3, Black Cat has a new heist that she's planning, and that is to break into the Sanctum Sanctorum, the home of Doctor Strange, and steal something from there. Things don't go very well for Felicia and crew. As you can see here, she runs into Bats, the ghost dog. If you've been reading Doctor Strange, you know about Bats, the ghost dog. We've got a villain from Doctor Strange's past, Xandar the Terrible, who's fantastic. And it does not bode well for Black Cat's crew, like I said. Written by Jed McKay, art by Travel Foreman and Brian Reber. I love this book. The cover's by J. Scott Campbell. You saw that one right here, #3. And I think we're going to show off. Do we show off? Yeah. Here are the covers for 4 and 5. If you look at 4 and 5, anyone recognize a character on the front of #4 right there? You see someone up in the right-hand corner up there? Shout it out if you could see it. Yeah, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch. In issue 4, Felicia has a little date with the Human Torch in number 4 Yancey Street. And I'm sure she's not trying to steal something from the home of the Fantastic Four, right? She can't possibly be trying to steal something of Reed Richards, right? She would never do that. Anyway. But art by J. Scott Campbell and colors by Sabine Rich. Their covers are so great, and the interiors by Travel Foreman and Brian Reber, like I said. It's such a great book. You got to check it out. Oh, coming up very, very soon. The first issue is off, being printed as we speak. One of our biggest Spider events of this year is Absolute Carnage. Yes. Written by Donnie Cates, art by Ryan Stegman. Your Venom team is going huge on Absolute Carnage. Are people excited for it? It involves everyone who has ever worn the Venom symbiote or the Carnage symbiote and their offspring. And so there are so many characters in play, and if they're alive or they're dead, even the dead aren't safe, which I don't really know what that means, but it's true. I mean, they weren't safe to begin with. They're dead, I suppose. But
So who read Cult of Carnage? Anybody? You're all terrible people. All of you. Okay. So it basically, Cult of Carnage was kind of like a prequel to what goes on in Absolute Carnage. And by the end of it, we saw that Misty Knight was in a bit of danger because John Jameson we learned, was compromised by Carnage. We pick up from what happens in that book at Lethal Carnage. We find Carnage and his crew is in Ravencroft. And they're about to resurrect somebody from the Maximum Carnage. Who remembers Demo Goblin? Mm-hmm. Yeah, all right. Well, it's Dema Goblin now, because he's a she. And we're going to see why that happens in the book. And we're also going to see some of the other characters from Maximum Carnage make a return. Like Iron Fist, Morbius, Cloak and Dagger, Firestar, who else? And Deathlock.
Yep. Tell us about Absolute Carnage versus Deadpool.
Yeah, okay, so, everybody has like that one friend that's not really a good friend, that's a lot of work. With my friends, that's me.
It's true. It's true.
True, right? But with Spider-Man, it's Deadpool. I mean, imagine being friends with Deadpool, right? So Deadpool does something at the beginning of the issue that has Spider-Man just like, enough, I can't take you anymore, dude. You need some serious help. And he sends him to Ravencroft. Well, who's at Ravencroft? Carnage and his crew. And obviously there's an encounter there. And during that encounter, not to spoil too much, but Carnage will realize that Deadpool, there's something, he's out there playing Spine Pokemon, and that Deadpool is actually the greatest get of all. He'll find that out. So,
Yep.
a lot of craziness.
Here's some incredible interior art by Marcelo Ferreira, who has done some great recent Deadpool stuff. He was part of the War of Realms Deadpool book.
Yeah, that's like the second page. You can see like craziness. You know what I mean?
It's utterly bonkers.
Yeah.
We have so many cool issues coming up of Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Like number 9 here, written by our friend Tom Taylor up on the dais here. This one we split between artist Ken Lashley and the anchor of this book, Juan Cabal. Tom, can you kind of tell us why you wanted to do that?
Sure. So, thank you for the woo. That was a lovely woo. Like on the woo scale, that was a woo.
It was a solid woo.
Yeah, it was a solid woo. Yeah. So the reason we did this is actually first of all, we love both these artists, but this is gonna tell the backstory for the character, the Rumor, who is our 90-year-old superhero. And you're gonna find out her backstory, which includes Captain America. Hey, there we go. Back in the 1940s, and how that tells today. And we introduced, we've got our new villain, Helminth, over there. Man, I love this book. And Juan's just a genius. Like that poster, that propaganda poster there. He's so good. And we've got Nolan Woodard again on colors, and makes me happy.
So good.
Yeah, and we'll get the origin of the rumor, we'll get Helminth, we'll get this. If you're reading this current story, you'll get, yes, this is where it all goes kaboom, boom, 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 and then it gets bigger. Hey!
And here are the covers number 10 and 11 by Andrew C. Robinson. He is so great. He's been with us since issue 1.
All painted.
But what's going on with that number 11 cover there?
Sarah, that number 11 cover, right? Who's that? That looks like an MJ. Yeah, this is an all MJ one shot. It's a beautiful story and about her sort of the kind of support she is for Peter and just who she is as well. Yeah. And it's a really lovely issue. It's come up beautifully.
It's such a great issue.
Makes me really happy.
And you can tell we're big MJ fans in the Spider office. So we want to make sure there's plenty of MJ. Are there any Mary Jane fans out there? You don't want to miss this. You don't want to miss Amazing Mary Jane, and you don't want to. You got to make sure you keep reading Amazing Spider-Man 2 because she is a huge part of that book, obviously. So thank you so much, Tom.
I did just want to say one other thing,
please.
too. Yeah, so I just finished the next script on the plane over from Australia, and I just wanted to let you know that Spider-Man dies early on, so that's kind of just the end of this panel.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, haven't I told you that yet?
Sorry, what?
All right, yeah. So, so check that one out. Yeah.
Well, this might be the last Spider-Man panel that we have. I'm sorry, everybody. But luckily, there's more than one Spider-Man, right? So we already talked about Into the Spider-Verse, right? You've all watched it. Has anyone watched it on Netflix since it was on there?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, for you, we've got a new book coming out just called Spider-Verse.
Awesome.
Yep. This is going to be a really cool 6-issue miniseries that is kind of unlike anything we've done before. So in the first issue, which is written by Jed MacKay, the writer of Black Cat, Miles gets put on a mission by someone you've never seen before, going across universes. And in this first issue, you're going to see a bunch of universes. And that's why we've put together just a murderer's row of artists. First of all, Juan Fergari, who did the Amazing Nightcrawler with Seanan, and he did some spectacular Spider-Man for us. He's telling the spine of that book. But then as Miles jumps from universe to universe, we have James Herron, Arthur Adams, Stuart Immonen, Stacey Lee, and more kind of kicking off each of these universes that Miles goes to in issue 1. And what that sets off is that every issue is going to go in and out other universes too. It's going to be a complete madcap adventure with all kinds of writers and artists from Spider-Man history and beyond. We're so excited about this book. It is so cool. And to make it even more special, there was an idea that CB down there had. CB, can you tell us kind of what challenge you threw at us in the Spider office?
You talking about the hashtag idea?
Indeed.
So, you guys know what hashtag Spider-Sona was? So, hashtag Spider-Sona was after Into the Spider-Verse, there was the line that we are all Spider-Man, and people created their version of Spider-Man. Who are them? How does Spider-Man affect them? Who would they be? What kind of costume would they design? And, we love that. So what we're doing is we're going to be going through all the hashtag Spider-Sonas and going out there and selecting people who created different Spider-Man and asking them to come to Marvel and contribute ideas to the Spider-Verse anthology. Wow. So this is going to be a really fan interactive series for new writers and new artists who supported us, who supported Marvel, who supported Spider-Man throughout the years. So to all you hashtag Spider-Sona people out there, we were listening. We loved so much of what we saw. And finally, soon you're going to have your showcase.
We had an intern spend about a week going through the entire hashtag Spider-Sona and just making a catalog of everyone who did one. And as we start to narrow it down and look for our favorites, we're so excited about this. It's going to be awesome. And this cover is by Wendell Dallett, who is one of the designers and artists who worked on the film Into the Spider-Verse. He did some of the coolest designs for that movie, so we wanted to bring him in there and have him draw someone in the comics, including one of them up there, which is my favorite, which is the Aunt May Spider-Woman, or the Amazing Spider-Ant.
Spider-Mam.
Yeah, Spider-Mam is even better, yep. So Spider-Mam, she is so great. So we're super excited to have her come back. This book is going to be so cool. And so it's not too late. If you want to throw out your own Spider-Sona, hashtag it Spider-Sona, and you might get contacted by Marvel. Up next is something that we finally announced a few weeks ago, and I've been working on for so long, and finally so excited that we could talk about it. Coming up, this date is wrong there. It's certainly not May, because that May has already passed. It's in September. But we have Spider-Man #1, written by J.J. Abrams and his son Henry Abrams. Art by Sarah Pichelli, colors by Dave Stewart, and covers by Olivier Coipel and Dave Stewart. And Sarah Pichelli's doing some covers for it too, some variant covers, Ed McGuinness. But I am so excited about this project. So about 15 years ago, I was talking to Stuart Immonen. He would come to Marvel to work on Ultimate Fantastic Four. And we were talking about, I was a young assistant editor, just trying to go out and make crazy comics. And I mentioned one of the people I was dying to work with was J.J. Abrams. At that time, he was working on Alias, and I was a huge Alias fan. And Stuart said, well, do you want his email address? I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean do you want his email address? Of course. Well, how do you have it? Well, at that time, J.J. Abrams was working on a Superman movie, and Stuart was writing and drawing a Superman book, and so they flew out these Superman teams. And so he worked with him, and he still had his email address, and it was still active. So over 15 years, I would email him every few months, just like sending him cool new comic book art, saying, you got to come play in comics. It's so much fun. You've done all kinds of other media. You got to do it. And he was always like, oh, that'd be so fun, but I'm too busy right now. And then finally, he told me that his son was interested in comics, and his son was a big comic fan, so I sent him a big box of X-Men comics, Spider-Man comics, all that kind of stuff. And years later of doing this like every couple months, he said, you know what, Nick, I think I finally have an idea that we could do. He's like, my son and I have been working on, like, we just started spitballing a Spider-Man story. And I was like, huh, really? And so we met in a coffee shop in Times Square, which I didn't think, they suggested meeting there. So I said, all right. I'm like, can you meet at a place like this? And he's like, no one ever recognizes me, which I thought was crazy, but he just put a hat on and he was fine. And they pitched it to me, like sitting in this Cafe Bene in Times Square, and it was so cool. And I was like, we have to make this. And then after about another year of trying to get our lawyers and his agents and everyone on the same page, we finally started making this comic, and it is amazing. The story is incredible, and it's so full of twists and turns. Like, we are literally only showing the covers, and we've only released a few pages of the interiors because there are so many twists and turns and surprises, and so much of what JJ does involves these big mysteries and twists. We wanted to do it that same way. So we're not even really telling you too much of what it's about, but we know it's about Spider-Man. We know it's about Mary Jane, and we know there's our villain right in the back of that cover right there called Cadaverous. And something crazy happens in this with Cadaverous that will change Spider-Man and change how he looks at the world. And it is so cool. And Sarah Pichelli, are there big Sarah Pichelli fans out there? There should be, right? I mean, she's a co-creator of Miles Morales. She has drawn so many amazing Marvel books, and what she's doing here even gets it up another level. She is so incredible, and she'll send in pages, and then all of us just can't stop gushing back at her when she says that, because she's just an absolute genius. But you're gonna have to wait and pick this up. September, make sure you go to your comic shop, and also we'll be showing actual new stuff that no one has ever seen tomorrow at the Marvel Comics Next Big Thing panel, not far from here in room 6A at 1:45. So come if you want to see some new art that we've never shown anyone in the world. You got to come check it out. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.